Ahoy there, mateys! Welcome aboard the Riff, Raff podcast. We are the pirates of the spicy waters. Come along with us and hoist the sail. We're navigating life through story and tale. We'll help you embrace the way you're wired, sharing laughs and lessons to get you inspired. If you join us, we will help you see there are a lot of ways to sail the spicy sea.
I'm telling you, folks, today is just a day. I can hear this weird tick in the. Okay, we're just going to move on. So, for context, there's going to be a weird connection in the middle of this podcast because my internet just decided to crap the bed. So I'm hotspotting, which is then creating some kind of weird tippy tap noise in the background of my times. So what we were talking about was social tools. And I can't remember what I was saying. It was something good, wasn't it?
Something about journaling and AI and using AI.
Oh, so Sydney had shared a lot of the tools that they use to manage their social battery and what they need to do when they are out and about. And so we were just compounding on that. What it comes down to, Maddie shared a lot of great tools. Paul uses, what are they called? Stims. He uses like a fidgety situation. So when we've been at events together, I can hear like a click, click, click. And I know that now I know better, but I know that they're getting socially overwhelmed. And so they choose a variety of things to, I won't speak to the rest of what they do. We'll get their input. As far as that societal expectation of pushing through, how do we not necessarily push back, but how do we advocate for what we need socially?
That's a good question. I think, like, I think it starts with, for me, it starts with getting to know yourself and knowing, like, that's why I went to the journaling, like, knowing what situations, like, and just, like, that wasn't so bad. I hate to say that, but, like, but, or, oh, that was exhausting, right? And it's like, and seeing where the differences were in those two instances. It was like, oh, that wasn't so bad because I had a friend there. I had someone I could socially vent to, I could vent to, or I was alone. I had to do a lot of, um,
The heavy lifting.
yeah, the heavy lifting. And so, and I think, or the lighting situation was not too bad at this place. Like that, the lighting contributed to my sensory overwhelm and why it was so exhausting. Um, because like even like sometimes with the lighting situation, um, it can cause me to have headaches in these different social interactions. And so it's like I bring my Tylenol, to help with that. But one time I didn't bring my Tylenol, and I could see a difference. And
What's
so
it
like
called? Sorry?
just Tylenol.
Tylenol. I thought it was a new tool. I was like,
No, no, just
we all
Tylenol.
know Tylenol causes autism, so you have to be careful with that.
Well,
For those of you that are watching or listening, not watching, my eyebrows just about shot off my head. I was in no way endorsing or supporting that ridiculous jerk. Doesn't appear to be able to take his jerk pants off. One of the things when the team was talking about this, because summer is upon us finally, it is here in Southern Ontario anyway. There's a lot of expectation around pool parties and barbecues and hosting people for dinner and going on day trips because we have a short-ish. I mean, for those of you that might be listening from the US, despite we do not have polar bears and igloos all year long. So from mid-May, traditionally, to around end of October is our window of decent weather to get out and enjoy. And if you're fortunate to live in Southern Ontario, you're not far from a lake or a park or somewhere to visit or Niagara Falls or going to Toronto or whatever. And as much as that's all in the vein of fun, there is still a social tax you have to pay on engaging with that. And it is okay to say no, right? Like
Yeah, like
this is where family,
next weekend, so not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, I'm going on a double date on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday, um, through my partner's family, it's a niece and nephew's birthday party. So I'm like, like I'm excited. I'm, but it's also a busy week next week for work because it's National Accessibility Week, and so get I have quite a few people that reach out for me to do different things, which I'm again thankful for, and it's but then to do the social activities on the weekend, I'm just like, who planned this? Who? I just wanna. Can I just be at home with Oreo? Um, that's my dog, and so, but I'm like again, like you said, it was like it's like self-inflicted. Like I chose to go on a double date with my best friend and her partner, and family
you need
obligation.
those moments as well, right? Like you need
Yeah.
those moments to connect with you, with your, I don't find family as draining. We have to go to Quebec a lot, and again in a grateful way. I was born there. The majority of my husband's family is there. We're in a weird family situation that the vast majority of my mom and dad's brothers and sisters are all in England. I have not been home to England. I was not born there, but I consider it my place in 30 years. So when family comes, and my brother is out in BC, when he and his wife and my nephew, come out, I feel obligated, regardless of what's going on, because I don't know the next opportunity I'm going to get to see some folks. Um, but then I have learned to plan accordingly around that. So I look at my calendar. If I know my brother's coming for a week, they're also here to see his wife's family. So I only may get to see him for a day or two out of that week, and that's, totally fine. When family comes from England, I try my very level best to be available for whatever opportunity, because it could be another 5, 10 years before I get to see them again. And part of what I keep in the back of my mind is definitely managing my spoons. But the other thing is, somebody started this conversation a few years ago. Traditionally speaking, with kids, for an example, you only get 18 summers before their time is not yours anymore. And with family, I learned at a very young age, I only got my dad for 20 years. I was very, very lucky to get my mom for 49 years. So my view on time and pushing through to a certain extent is formed by that. So I manage other social taxes by not going out to shopping malls. That's a huge one for me. Like I made the mistake yesterday of going to Princess Auto and having to drive through the weird ass traffic around here. And by the time I got to Princess Auto, I got to tell you, my junk pants were on and I was not a happy camper. Um, I think it's balance. I love all the tools that Sydney has shared. Um, and you absolutely have to build that self awareness, because the other side is managing what you might miss. And if you're not building self awareness and you don't have tools in place, and everything has to be a no because you're out of spoons, your social batteries completely depleted all the time, and what have you, then take a peek at what's going on, folks. Like, where exactly are you expending your energy? Is it at the expense of things that could be important to you or might have a time limit on them? And absolutely set boundaries. Next weekend, I have a mud run. signed up for that. And I'm like, I'm going to be 56, so I can do a mud run.
Gordon wants to do a
Well,
run.
man, 30 years younger than me. Go do the mud run. I'm going to be dragging my sorry geriatric ass underneath. Like, my friend's like, don't worry about it. Some of the things you can just walk around. I was like, oh, okay, okay. I'll just roll in the mud when I get there and pretend I did. That's what I'm out. I'll make that. But there's dinner after, and it's on a Sunday. And then that following week, I've got to be driving to the Laurentians to deliver a workshop. And then I'm also driving to Montreal to visit a client's mold making facility and whatever. I'm like, I'm already pre-planning. I bring room spray if I'm staying in a hotel, and not Febreze, like it's a nice essential oil, whatever one. And I bring aromatherapy rollers, and they help me manage the overwhelm and the whatever. Um, I make sure to download some stuff off of Netflix or whatever, so that if I can't get internet access, which is kind of rare nowadays, but I can my way to unwind is watching Marvel movies. So there's a variety of tools, folks, but I think that the biggest important point that Sydney and Maddie made is around self-discovery, is around advocating to yourself and to others what you need to manage your social. Like Sydney's got a lot of stuff going on traveling wise for speaking engagements and whatever. If you're in that same boat, I've been there as well. You've got to look at that. You've got to feed yourself. If you're working for yourself. If you work, that's going to be one of our next topics. We did talk about communication at work, but I don't think we talked about the social hacks that you sometimes pay at work.
Yeah.
So we could explore that a little more so that you know how to advocate at work. I think you were incredible. I'm just going to sound silly, but you were incredibly brave to put on sunglasses at an event. Most folks wouldn't have done that. I think that's awesome
Thank you.
because social pressure. Well, what if somebody, so folks, Thanos that thought, because your social battery and your ability to be awesome and do everything you want to do far outweighs what anybody else that you might not even think about in a year, what matters to them.
With that point, it's like everyone's busy focusing on themselves. I feel like we always think, but everyone's focusing on like no, like yes, some people care about like, but like for the majority, people's main priority is themselves. They're not caring what you're doing. Mhm.
Best thing my friend Andrea said to me, I was 16 years old and I used to think that everybody was mad at me, which for the most part was true, for being honest. If you get in trouble enough, you start to think that it's always your fault. And I don't know what I said or did or whatever. And she looked at me and she's like, what's your problem? And I'm like, well, I thought, so and so or you or whatever was mad at me. And she looked at me. By the way, friends for over 40 years, recently reconnected, both Geminis, both type A's, both unfiltered, totally my people. And she looked at me and she said, what makes you think you're so important? And that set
Yeah.
me back for a moment. But then I was like, true that. It was very freeing. If you are focused on you and whatever you need to do to adjust your social battery isn't harming anybody else or whatever, do what you got to do. If you need to journal in the middle of a conference, if you need to put different colored glasses on, if you need to go take a break, if you
I
need,
do I have it here?
what's
Where
that?
did I put it? Oh no, I can't find it. But I can just speak
What
to
are you
it.
doing?
At the conference that we went to, so there's a pre-day on the Tuesday, then started actually on the Wednesday, and because we had traveled also on the Monday, I was already feeling some noise. Um, and so I like to doodle when sometimes.
Keep going.
Okay, so I like to doodle sometimes, and so when I was a kid, I used to draw. I like abstract art better, and so I would draw triangles. So I was like, okay, I want to draw triangles because we had notepads at the table, and someone actually gave me a brochure that was like just a one page thing, and it's like I can use this as a ruler. So I started drawing triangles, and it actually was a sensory room called the Zen Den, I believe it was called, or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't
And
make it in.
I made it in finally into that room, and they actually had pencil crayons, and my pencil crayons are my preferred medium when coloring these triangles. So I took some pencil crayons and colored in triangles, and that helped me feel like I was
It's
more
beautiful.
engaged. I could talk to people and multitask and doodle my triangles, and so again, it's just another way of coping and managing my social and yeah, that also helped.
So to wrap up, because Sydney at the event showed me their beautiful art that they had done. And I was like, oh, that's my jam. Because I love doodling and like, drawing, and it helps me focus because my hands have something to do, yada, yada, yada. So I said to myself, so how do I prepare for next time? Right. So when you notice somebody else doing something or they're kind enough to share or whatever that is, take note, folks. So what I did, I bought a beautiful little pencil case and I found Crayola clickas is what they're called. Crayola clickas. Sounds very, oh, sorry, Crayola clicks. I was, was making it way fancier than it was.
Hmm.
And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 12 colors and they are a clickable pencil crayon. And it is a thin tip, which I also prefer, and sort of self-sharpening, if you will. And it also comes with 2 packs of refills, which are all safe so your leads don't break, which used to drive me absolutely bonkers. But I saw that and I went socially acceptable, quiet, because my other modus interruptus for handling overwhelm is to get extremely chatty and start jibber jabbing to people, which is not good for them. It can be creative. I'm going to put a tiny little notebook in there so that I can keep it. And I have like a little, 4x4, whatever it is. And then I have a kit for me at events. We got these wonderful little rubby doodad things that were like a little sensory thing. When you're at a conference, people have laptops and if you're at a business meeting, if you're at a whatever, there's nothing wrong with doodling. Like it gives you something to do. And then if you're not particularly creative, it's doodling. Who cares? Um, as long as it's not something that disrupts other folk. And creativity for me is recharging. It's why I bake. It's why I garden. It's why I do whatever. I'm learning to weld. I'm learning to do power tools. It's very fun. My husband's a millwright and electrician before you think I'm crazy. And my son is a trained welder. So it's not random. We actually have a welder at home, welding machine. Um, remember that part of it as well. With your social choices, there's boundaries around your time. Build self-awareness. Buddy up with somebody if you need it. Um, what were some of the other things we talked about? Social venting. Sydney uses social stacking. Um, and ask for help. Ask for ideas. If you have a community of neurospicy folk, I guarantee you somebody's got some kind of social regulating thing that they do that you might not have heard before. And if you have an experimental mindset, then you just try it. It doesn't work. Okay. Like Sydney suggested, write it out in a book. Try something else. I happen to like coloring. I might even buy like a little teeny weeny little coloring book and just bring that with me too. I'm actually going to print a label on my little green pencil case
Hmm.
and I'm going to call it my sensory accommodation toolkit, something. There might be chocolate in there too. We'll see. I feel like chocolate would be a good addition.
I feel like Maddie uses that for to help with like
Chocolate?
yeah.
For sure. But that's one of my, it, certain chocolate takes me back to childhood, which is then comforting, which is then that whole situation. It's a whole nother conversation. Plus, if you're a Harry Potter fan, I mean, chocolate solves everything. So I'm just saying, if you are facing your very own Dementor, then a little bit of chocolate
The
goes a long
dimension
way.
is the social life.
Oh, if you are a Harry Potter fan, and no, I do not support J.K. Rowling's whole trans thing, but I do support the storylines of inclusion and whatever that she did in Harry Potter before she went off the bender. Um, maybe that's what we picture that as. What's the spell?
Exp Expelliarmus? No.
No, that's taking the wand
I
off of
was
somebody.
expecting Patronum.
No, that's a Patronus. Oh, we got to look it up. Okay, hang on. There's a point to
We're
this.
losing our nerd card.
I'm losing my nerd card. I totally am. And I'm going to, okay, Dementor spell. No, not Patronus. That is wrong. Ridiculous.
That's it.
Ridiculous. I didn't even get that on Google, but I remembered it was ridiculous. So if you happen to be a Harry Potter wizarding kind of fan, and you're walking into a social situation, your battery's low, you're not sure what to do. What they did in the movie and in the books, and this is how we'll wrap up, is Dementor came out of the cupboard. Not the Dementor. It was a, I can't remember what it was called. Bogart. So the Bogart
Got my
came
card
out of
back.
the cupboard. You did. Well done. Bogart, I'm actually wearing my Harry Potter Crocs right now. Gryffindor forever. Bogart came out of the Bogart. Bogart was what it's called. Bogart's an actor. Bogart comes out of the cupboard. It assumes form of whatever your deepest fear is. So for some, it was, Professor Snape being scary. For others, it was spiders and what. And the spell is ridiculous. And what it does is it takes that fear. So the spider, when Ron cast the spell, gave the spider roller skates. When Neville Longbottom cast the spell, it turned Snape into um, dressing in his grandmother's clothes. And for other people, like there was a huge, awful, scary clown, so it got turned into a balloon and puffed away. So if whatever that story could give to you is look at the situation, try and find a way to change how it's impacting you. Try and find a way to change how you're showing up. Find the ridiculous in it so that you're not missing out on stuff. Now, still, honor your boundaries, honor your social battery and how you are when you show up. Put your nerd card back and go look up more of the ridiculous spells. I lose my nerd card on a regular basis, so I feel like I redeem myself, and nobody else has. So at least it's recorded. I can get my nerd card back a little bit. So that was our point of today, was the social connection. Summer's here. How do you navigate that? Making sure you watch your time and just be kind to yourself.
Mhm.
Learning. Any wise words to wrap up, Ms. Butler?
Yeah, just be open to learning about yourself and what that looks like in a social situation, and that it's going to look different day to day as well. And just be kind to yourself, like you said, Elizabeth, and just, yeah, that's all I have to say.
I don't think there's the spell for being kind, but we'll have to find it. Get my wand out. I do have a wand. It's a whole nother story. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We really appreciate it, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, this is Elizabeth Blue from Spiro Canada, one of your pirates on the Riff Raff podcast team. My fellow pirates include Maddie Dever from Autistic Bridge, Sydney Elaine Butler from Accessible Creates, and Paul Coleman from Creation Designs, who is our very own Arctic LARPing Santa. Thank you for joining us on the Neurospicy Seas, and we wish fair winds to you all.
Elizabeth Blue from Spiro, Canada, one of your pirates on the Riff Raff podcast team. My fellow pirates include Maddie Dever from Autistic Bridge, Sydney Elaine Butler from Accessible Creates, and Paul Coleman from Creation Designs, who is our very own Arctic LARPing Santa. Thank you for joining us on the Neurospicy Seas, and we wish fair winds to you all.